Hey everyone, this is Dr. Scott. So our theme this month is talking about asthma. And today I wanted to go and talk about some basic things that we see with a lot of kids that do have asthma that oftentimes aren't adequately addressed in a lot of the settings where maybe they've been in previous therapy or have been diagnosed with this. And so one of the issues that we often have to deal with is the fact that kids are never really taught how they're supposed to breathe. This is a really big issue because if you talk about breathing normally, right? So I'm going to give you some demos on what it's supposed to look like, but most people have what they call dysfunctional respiration, meaning that you breathe from your chest instead of from your belly, where you're pulling deep breaths all the way down into your abdomen, all right? This is a big issue because you literally lose up to 50% of the capacity of your lungs to breathe. It's a significant issue because if a child goes into panic mode and they can't draw a deep breath, guess what they're going to do? Breathe faster, which leads to more spasms, which leads to a worse and worse attack. And so one of the things that we always have to do a retraining on is how do you breathe? So I'm going to give you a couple of quick demos here of what it's supposed to look like. And then I want you to take this information and check your child if your child has asthma, because this is something that they have to master for them to be able to go and really get under control of their asthma while they're either still on meds or while they're receiving treatments with a pediatric chiropractor or a regular chiropractor to try and help with decreasing their symptoms of the asthma by improving the function of the nervous system. So let me go ahead and give you a couple quick demos. So when you look, okay, when a person has asthma or any type of respiratory dysfunction, easiest way to go and assess it is to go and check by using hand placement. So you put a hand on the belly, hand on the chest. What's supposed to happen is the hand on the belly should flare out first, okay? Oftentimes what happens with dysfunctional respiration is they pull from the chest. So it's, you notice how my ribs, my sternum elevate every time I take a breath. What's supposed to happen is it should be a deep abdominal breath. So it should be, by breathing through the abdomen, it allows their diaphragm to pull way down deep, taking advantage of the full capacity of the lungs to draw in oxygen. When you're breathing through the chest like this, it can become severely stressful because now you're trying to go and use only a portion of the capacity of the lungs. Easy way for your child to learn how to do this is either from a standing posture, sitting posture, or laying posture, is to practice hand here, hand here. The first thing that you as a mom and dad need to do is look, do they breathe through the chest? Chest comes up first before the hand. Check to go and see if they're breathing this way. If they are, then you need to talk to them about learning to go and breathe through their abdomen. So the easiest way for a child that doesn't know how to do this to teach them how to do this is to say, I want you to act like you're breathing through a straw, drawing in a very slow breath to try and make sure that this hand goes down first. So it's and mom and dad, you have to make sure that they're aware that this hand doesn't raise, okay? So you talk to them, make sure that your belly comes out, pull it all the way down into your belly button, and relax. They need to practice this often because you're talking about a neurological pattern they've been doing potentially since they were born. And so if this is something that is really heavily driven into their nervous system, you've got to do a lot of retraining. So this is an exercise they need to perform several times per day, every day, to learn how to go and retrain their respiratory system to pull their breath down in through the diaphragm. But also, when they are more physically active, playing with their friends, out in a sport, you have to talk to them and say, breathe through your belly, breathe through your belly. And they have to start getting into their mindset, breathe through your belly, breathe through your belly, breathe through your belly. If they have a coach, Johnny, breathe through your belly, breathe through your belly. Because they have to have that constant reinforcement of the importance of breathing through the belly. That way, they take advantage of the full capacity of the lungs instead of getting into the fight or flight response, which then forces them to breathe faster, but it also causes the lungs and the bronchioles to constrict, increasing the intensity of an asthma attack. Helping them to learn these basic things will help them to take a better advantage of staying calm when they're starting to experience a little bit of windedness, but also trying to calm down their nervous system too, because the nervous system, when it gets more into fight or flight, more and more respiratory distress. Now, from the chiropractic perspective, if you have a child or you yourself are dealing with asthma, one of the things I'll tell you is that you really want to go in and get your child or yourself assessed. there are many, many things that we see in common with people that tend to have issues with asthma. One is we tend to see a lot of postural issues. They tend to be very, very rigid in their mid-back, oftentimes with a flexed posture, which means that they tend to be very forward like this. Why that is because every time they get into distress, they start pulling through the chest and they come into a protection mode. And so their mid-back starts to lock down, stops moving the way that it should. One of the things that we do as chiropractors is if we see this, we know that there's a few different places where in the spine they're going to be extremely rigid. The mid-back is one of those places. What an adjustment does is it puts motion into that area of the spine, allowing the thoracic vertebra, which is the mid-back vertebra, and the ribs to start to move more naturally. When a child is an asthmatic, that area of the spine stops moving, which is why they have even worse and worse issues with the asthma over time, becoming progressively more reliant on the inhalers. Because if you can't get normal motion through the mid-back, the ribs, which act like bucket handles, are supposed to go, you see how my ribs were moving and how my sternum was moving outwards? It's because the ribs go, every single time that I take a deep breath in. It's that downward pull of the diaphragm causing expansion, okay? If your child's mid-back isn't moving, then every time they breathe, they're going, and they have to draw up to try and catch air. And so they're using accessory muscles up here that aren't really designed for respiration. They're called secondary muscles of respiration. The primary muscles are down here in the diaphragm. Learning to recruit the diaphragm and learning to get motion through the mid-back will really tremendously benefit them. So if you or your child deals with asthma and you want to learn some drug-free ways to try and help with improving your symptoms and really decrease the intensity of these, I strongly encourage you to go and see a chiropractor. If you're here in this area, come and see us. We'd be more than happy to help you. We work with this all the time with tremendous, tremendous results. Okay? This is Dr. Scott Haggerty. I hope this was helpful. If this was, do me a favor. Make sure that you like it and you share it. Tell others about this because our goal and our mission here is to just try and make sure that we are educating the community on ways to use natural strategies, drug-free strategies to improve your health and your family's health. This is Dr. Scott Haggerty. Love you guys. God bless you and be elite.